Hey guys, Ambience here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to beat Night 5 of Five Nights at Freddy's, the last night in the main game, of course. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Now, before we get thrown into the action, I just wanted to remind you guys that I am going to be doing a 420 mode guide very shortly, as well as some guides on Five Nights at Freddy's 2 after that. So, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you do not miss those guides. They're going to be very, very important. I'm really excited to work on them, so yeah, can't wait to show you guys. Alright, so if you guys watched my two previous videos, then you should know the strategy we're going to be using by now. It's not really much different for Night 5. Let's go ahead and mute this phone call. Very loud. So, the strategy, of course, is going to be light, camera, light, camera, light, camera. If you prefer, you can do light, light, camera, light, light, camera, like this. But the more efficient strategy for Night 5, and the one that we're going to be using for the easy strategy of 420 mode, which I'll explain in the 420 mode guide, is going to be light, camera, just keep doing this, basically. Alright, so we got the strategy down now, pretty much. You are going to want to be keeping the camera on the show stage for most of the night, as that will prevent Freddy from moving. The main goal of this night, along with, of course, keeping Bonnie and Chica out with your reflexes, is to ensure that Freddy does not leave the stage and Foxy does not leave Pirate's Cove. If you keep those two locked up, then you should be fine here. You shouldn't run out of power. It should be a pretty easy night overall, as long as you stick to the plan. We are going to be checking Pirate's Cove every 1 or 2 hours just to ensure that Foxy has not left. He shouldn't if we're using the strategy, but especially for newer players who may be a little nervous, it's always best to check on him just in case. And another thing that I wanted to talk about, now that we've got the strategy down, is I have talked about a lot, I have talked a lot about AI levels in the past, but I haven't really specified what they mean. So, I can't remember the specific AI levels for this night. I think Foxy's is 6 and Freddy's is 4. That's pretty much all I remember. But what I do know is that basically how AI levels work is that every 3 to 5 seconds, depending on the animatronic, with Freddy having the most movement opportunities per minute, and Foxy having the least. Every 3 to 5 seconds, then an animatronic is going to have a movement opportunity that has a random chance to succeed or fail. And it gets increasingly more likely that it will succeed the higher their AI level is. So if an animatronic's AI level is 1, they only have a 5% chance to move every movement opportunity. I'm having trouble talking today for some reason. So every movement opportunity, if their AI level is 1, they will only have a 5% chance to succeed. Whereas if their AI level is 20, they have a 100% chance to succeed, and they will move every single time. And the AI system is used throughout every night in the game, not just 420 mode, or custom night, rather. So keep that in mind. So that's a little bit about how AI levels work. Foxy's works slightly differently. Basically, he goes into a locked state every time the camera is up, in which his movement opportunities will automatically fail regardless of his AI level or current position. After lowering the camera, he will remain locked for anywhere from, I think, 0.83 seconds, I want to say, to 16 some seconds, and it can literally be any frame in between those. So it is very random indeed on when he actually decides to move and whether he actually does move. But by raising the camera constantly, we can virtually keep him locked in place the entire night. If we check Pirate's Cove, the curtains are closed, he's not moved at all, every movement opportunity has failed, so the plan is doing its job. And of course, you do need to have good reflexes for this strategy, which is why we start practicing it pretty early in easier nights, so that we can do it when better reflexes may be required, since Bonnie or Chica can get in really quick by this point, and we're going to have to raise and lower the monitor very quickly in order to ensure no animatronic gets in, to make the strategy of light camera work optimally. Chica is in the kitchen, so no need to check the right light until that stops. I don't hear it anymore, so let's start checking the right light again. You do want to be paying attention to sound cues the entire time, by the way. I've been a little bit zoned out while I've been talking, but you are going to want to pay attention to sound cues constantly. Like right now, I hear Chica in the kitchen again, so I know that I don't need to check the right light for a few seconds, or until I stop hearing the pots and pans banging. That's one of the most important sound cues, I would say. Other very, very important sound cues are noises such as Freddy laughing. In that case, we know that he has moved one position. So if he was on the show stage and he laughs, I know he's now in the dining area. If he's in the dining area and laughs, then I know he's in the restrooms, and so on and so forth. Then there's the audio cue of Foxy singing, which I believe signals that he is not currently about to leave Pirates Cove, so that's good to know as well. Speaking of Foxy, let's check on him again. Curtains are still closed. He's not showing any sign of moving. Strategy is working just as planned. Other audio cues, of course, that are paired with visuals, like animatronics showing up in the doorway, are more meant to scare you than anything else, but during something like a blindfolded run, or if you're just not paying very close attention, then it can help you. Sometimes that noise will not play, I think, if you've recently seen an animatronic in the doorway. So, regardless of what it is, you do want to be paying attention to sound cues, but the sound cues, of course, are useless if you don't know what they actually mean. Another sound cue that it won't really help you necessarily because you're already pretty much dead by this point. But if you have the camera up and you hear what sounds like heavy breathing or groaning in the office, then do not lower the camera. If you are already at 5 a.m., there's a chance you can hold out. About 30 seconds after getting into the office, Bonnie or Chica will force down the camera and will kill you anyway. But you do have a greater chance of survival if you're at 5 a.m. if you just don't do anything and wait for them to force down the camera. Because if you pull it down at that point, you will die. Let's just keep the strategy up here. Seems to be working. It's 4 a.m. We have 35% power. Not bad. We should not run out of power on this night, I would think. I'm about to check Foxy again in just a second. That'll probably be the last time that we check him on this night. Might check him one more time. Okay. Curtain's still closed. He's not doing anything. As long as we keep the strategy up, he will not move. And this is basically going to be the exact strategy that we're going to be using for 420. We are going to have a little bit faster reflexes and move a little bit quicker overall. But this is the same strategy that we're going to use for 420 mode, basically. There's some modifications, like we're going to have the camera on the east hall corner instead of the show stage, and I'll explain why that is once we get there. And every time that we check Pirates Cove, we are also going to have to close the right door. Once again, I'll explain that more in depth once we get the 420 mode. Should only be a few days anyway. It is now 5 a.m., 26% power. There's Bonnie, close the door, of course. He's now gone. As the AI levels get higher, the animatronics will typically leave the door much quicker. As you can see, Bonnie leaves nearly instantly after we close the door. Whereas on night 1 and 2, he was staying by the door for a while and draining some power. This is to compensate for the fact that the animatronics show up more frequently on later nights and higher AI levels. Otherwise, they'd show up constantly and they'd pretty much be at your door all night. There'd be no way to avoid running out of power. So, nice little balance optimization there. Another sound cue, of course, that may be a little hard to hear is deep footsteps. This means that either Bonnie or Chica is currently in either the West Hall corner, the East Hall, or the East Hall corner. So basically, they're in the hallways, so you should expect to see them at the door, especially soon. It is 15% power. We can keep doing the strategy for the entire rest of the night with no problem, and we will still beat the night with the lights on. But in order to make it a little bit less strenuous on you guys, because your hand would probably be getting pretty tired by this point if you don't do this regularly, what I would suggest doing is we're going to check Foxy. It's not moving at all? Okay. We hit 6 a.m., but what I was going to do was just open the right door after Chica left and just not move. And that way you can kind of rest your hand a little bit while all of that's going on. And that's the stall strategy that I was talking about that I believe I mentioned during the Night 4 guide. So if you want to hear more about that in depth, then be sure to watch the Night 4 guide as well. So that's it, guys. We beat the main game. We got a check for $120, which made this nightmare worth it, I'm sure. Of course, there is more. There is a 6th night, which I'll be making a guide for shortly, along with the infamous 420 mode. So I am going to be teaching you guys how to beat this game as a whole, but you should feel good about yourself. You just beat the main game, you've got this first star on the menu. Feels pretty good. You did beat Five Nights at Freddy's. So, congrats on that. So yeah, we are going to be talking about Night 6 and Custom Night very soon, and then we are going to move on to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 after. So, with that, thank you guys for watching this guide. I hope it helped you beat Five Nights at Freddy's, and I will see you in the next guide.